Welcome to God's Powerful Son, your GPS, with directions to eternity, using references from the Life Application Study Bible, NIV. Here's your host, David Brower, a true believer.
Thanks, Alan. This is David Brower reminding you that you don't need to take notes on this podcast, as the complete transcript is in the Our Blog section at gps2eternity.com. In this edition of Your GPS to Eternity, we are talking about the great escapes in the Bible. We'll talk about who escaped, what happened when they escaped, what their escape accomplished, and how that escape can be applied to your life today. Jacob, as written in Genesis 31, 1 through 55, fled from his father-in-law, Laban, after almost 20 years of service. His escape allowed Jacob to return home for Isaac's death and for reconciliation with Esau, his brother. In life today, that might mean that time away from home often puts the really important things into perspective. Moses, as written in Exodus 2, 11 through 15, fled Egypt after killing an Egyptian in defense of a fellow Israelite. That escape saved his own life and began another part of God's training. It's a perfect example of how God uses even our mistakes in His plan. The Israelites, as written in Exodus 12, 28 through 42, escaped Egypt after 430 years, most of which had been spent in slavery. Their escape showed that God confirmed His choice of Abraham's descendants. And that's a reminder to both you and I that God will not forget His promises. Spies, as written in Joshua 2, 1 through 24, escaped searchers in Jericho by hiding in Rahab's house. That single act prepared the destruction of Jericho and preserved Rahab, who would become one of David's ancestors as well as an ancestor of Jesus. It lets us know with confidence that God's plan weaves lives together in a pattern beyond our understanding. Ehud, as written in Judges 3, 15 through 30, escaped undetected after assassinating the Moabite king Eglon. That act broke the control of Moab over Israel and began 80 years of peace. Be assured that punishments by God are often swift and deadly. Samson, as written in Judges 16, 1 through 3, escaped a locked city by ripping the gates from their hinges. That act merely postponed Samson's self-destruction, which eventually happened because of his lack of self-control. This is a serious reminder to us that without dependence on God and His guidance, even great ability is wasted. Elijah, as written in 1 Kings, fled into the wilderness out of fear of Queen Jezebel. That act preserved Elijah's life, but it also displayed his human weaknesses. Be reminded that even in moments of real success, our personal weaknesses are our greatest challenges. Paul, as written in Acts 9, 23 through 25, was lowered in a basket through an opening in the wall to get out of Damascus. That saved this new Christian for great service to God. It is critical that we all know that God has a purpose for every person's life, which leads to real adventure for those willing to cooperate. Peter, as written in Acts 12, 1 through 11, was freed from prison by an angel. That saved Peter for God's further plans for his life. In today's world, when we least expect it, God can use extraordinary means to carry out His plan. Paul and Silas, as written in Acts 16, 22 through 40, had their chains loosened and the doors were opened by an earthquake, but they chose not to leave the prison. Why? It pointed out the powerlessness of humans before God. Today, we should focus our dependence and attention on God rather than our problems. He is able to offer help in unexpected ways. We invite you to visit the Prayer Request tab on our website and let us know how we can be praying for you. If you ever have any suggestions or comments regarding what we share with you each week, just click on the Contact Us tab, also at gps2eternity.com. Until next time, this is David Brower, asking you to remember that God's powerful Son is your GPS, providing you with directions to eternity.
You've been listening to God's Powerful Son, your GPS, with directions to eternity. Now you can find us using your voice command on Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, Cortana, and Bixby. Just say GPS to Eternity. New podcasts with transcripts are available every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time at GPS2eternity.com. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you and your family.